Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, Sunday the 25th of, or Saturday the 25th of May. It is Memorial Day weekend, so happy Memorial Day weekend to everybody out there and to those that have served. We have a 9-game slate for the early or the main. I'm not sure what DK classified early. Actually starts in 3 hours. A little behind schedule this morning, but that's all right. Don't really have any dominant pitching spots, I don't really think. This is a first look, and I am using DraftKings since that's what a majority of my action is. If you're looking kind of for FanDuel, you can kind of take my pitching pool and cut it into about a third. Really want to focus on the top handful of guys because you don't have to get as cute. Pricing for hitting and stacking isn't as tight. But let's dig in here. At the top, we get Brady Singer. I think Singer makes a perfectly fine option for us on this slate. I have been picking on Tampa Bay at one point with pitching. Cooled off a little bit on that, but Singer has been spectacular. Just 1 run allowed in each of 4 of his last 5 starts. Coming off of a 9K performance. It was against Oakland. So take it with a grain of salt. But K prop of 4.5, juiced very strongly on the over. He's a slight road underdog, but game total of 8, juice on the under. I like Singer more than the opposing pitcher in that one in Savali. I might use Savali, but I doubt I'm going to get down there. Logan Gilbert against Washington. Picking on Washington really hasn't been profitable from a pitching standpoint overall. Logan Gilbert coming off of 3 not-so-great starts. Forgive him with the one against New York. The Yankees have been rolling. He had some extreme ground ball rates there, which are always good to see. It's just tough to trust Gilbert against Washington. He's a -175 favorite with just a 5.5 K prop, which I guess is probably kind of aggressive, but I do like the price point. I do think there's a chance that he, makes a GPP winning build, especially on the slate of pitching. So he's definitely going to be in my pool. Nick Pivetta going to be in my pool. I love the upside. 8+ strikeouts in 3 of his 5 starts this season. Been just 1 start at home where it was really strong. Looking at his K prop, if I can find it here quickly, 5.5 juice pretty strongly on the over. I would assume he's a home favorite, but with like high game total. Yeah, he's a -148 favorite, game total of 9 in Boston. So I assume we're dealing with some decent weather, probably warm in Boston or warmer. Not sure if we have doesn't look like we have our weather station updated yet, but generally a 9+ total in Fenway. I think we're geared a little more towards offenses. So I won't go super overweight on Pivetta, but he's somebody that I just like to be above the field on almost every time he pitches because of his strong K upside. Ronaldo Lopez, definitely going to make my pool. K prop of 5.5, juice very slightly on the under on that one. He's a -155 favorite. Taking on Pittsburgh. He has been pretty impressive all season long. Been even more impressive on the road, really, from a fantasy point standpoint. Not walking as many guys. Ks are a little stronger. Two categories we really like for DraftKings. Not walking guys. And then strikeouts, obviously, on both sides matter. Would be nice for him to pick up some more wins with how well he's been pitching. So you add a win to some of these games, and now they're looking a lot better, especially like this one. So definitely going to make pool, especially because, this slate isn't loaded with pitching options. Not really interested in using Mitch Keller against Atlanta. He has been pretty solid recently, but I'm just not going to go there against Atlanta. Jose Barrios definitely going to go there, taking on Detroit. The Detroit roster, this is something I did look at last night. The Detroit roster has not hit Barrios very well. He's just a minus 112 favorite. I think that's just more of the fact that Reese Olson is pitching on the other side. He's been pretty impressive, aside from getting hurt last time out. Barrios' K prop 4.5, juice strongly on the over. He's a guy that I might want to ladder some K props. To be honest, probably the 4, 5, 6, 7, and maybe sprinkle in the 8 in a ladder. But he's intriguing enough for me. Definitely going to be one of my higher owned. It is volatile. Detroit has surprised a little bit in some spots, but I think I'm interested. I'm going to skip over Albert Suarez, the early season darling where people were jamming him in cheap. He went back to more of a bullpen role. Not really sure what his length is going to be as a starter today. So I'm just not going to go there. I think people are going to look at Hicks and Severino and might get there. I'm just going to pass. Like, Hicks just overall just hasn't been striking guys out as a starter. We're just not seeing that same upside. It's been solid, but I just don't think we need to force him in. Severino, not a big K guy, walks are up. I'm going to pass on that as well. I will be using some Lorenzen. His walks are up, so that's a worry. But Minnesota can strike out, and I did notice this last night when I was just looking around. Lorenzen has absolutely dominated left-handed bats so far in 2024. It's something I don't expect to continue for the entire season, but Minnesota very platoon heavy. I expect their lineup to be loaded with left-handed hitters, so there is some big upside for Lorenzen. I obviously will stack the Minnesota side as a fan of Minnesota, but also just because Lorenzen is prone to get blown up at times. Oakland lit him up, Cincinnati lit him up, so there's some upside, but I really like the sneaky upside of Lorenzen. If we can get things to kind of click correctly, his K prop's 4.5, juices on the over. He's a slight underdog in this game, but I definitely would rather play him than Chris Paddock at this point. And Paddock's looked great in 3 out of his last 4. I just don't really want to trust him against Texas. Like, I'm convinced that Corey Seager's going to hit a home run off of him today, so I'm just going to end up passing on Paddock. Not really going to consider Savali right now. Kansas City, I think, is just strong enough right now with the way that they're swinging. Reese Olson, definitely. Obviously, he did leave his last start, which is a little annoying. He got hit by a comebacker. But I think he can be impressive here. Like I mentioned, he actually is a favorite. No, the game's almost a pick'em in that. So there's definitely upside. K-prop is just 3.5, but juice is really strongly on the over. I would gladly take the over. Even though Toronto's kind of middle of the pack, lower third in terms of K, I think the offense overall for Toronto just hasn't been great on the season. So I think Reese Olson at 7,100 is a very strong GPP option for us. Not really considered Ray Sears. Arrighetti probably going to draw some ownership against Oakland. There's upside there. His best start of the year came against Oakland. So maybe somebody I have to consider. Looking at his prop numbers, K prop of 5.5, juice strongly on the over. And he is a minus 142 favorite. Game total of 9 though, but might have to consider adding him to the pool with some of the projections that might be out there for him. Take a real quick look here at the evening or main slate. This one I have not looked at all. Real quick overview. Dylan Cease, I don't really want to pick on the Yankees right now with the way that they're swinging because they absolutely got to Darvish with a home run ball, even though Darvish had been elite. I think we have to use Cease because he has the upside. He just doesn't have the recent form. Probably not somebody I want to go too heavy on. Nola, even though pitching in Coors, I will take that. Dominated Colorado earlier this year. No problem going with him tonight on a 6-gamer. Tanner Bybee, you really can't get Tanner right. Struggled against this Angels team 3 weeks ago, but he's thrown up some dominant performances. Kind of look at his K prop quick, 5.5 juice on the over. So definitely an interesting option. Probably gonna have to go there. Stroman, I'm gonna go there. I'm not gonna like it, but I'm gonna go there. San Diego's offense has just not been elite this season, and with the run support that the Yankees bats have been providing, Stroman probably in a decent spot. Stroman's K prop is just 3.5 though, which isn't overly exciting. Walker Buehler K prop 5.5 juice on the under. I want to take a look at the total in this game in Cincinnati. Sitting at 9. Walker Buehler's a minus 162 favorite. Probably going to have to play with Buehler. He did just dominate this same Cincinnati squad, which I don't really like seeing him, make back-to-back starts against the same team. Getting 2 extra days of rest coming into this one. We know that Cincinnati's offense has generally struggled. They woke up yesterday, but I think there's upside for Buehler. Hunter Green and his K ability was strong against the Dodgers. I think I'm going to sprinkle him in. Sounds dangerous. Is dangerous, but K prop of 6.5, I believe. Juice on the under. I will take that shot for GPPs because of that K upside ability. Not really interested in Jameson Taillon, but maybe we should be. I'll have to dig into that one a little bit more as well. Jordan Montgomery, maybe against Miami, but he just hasn't been sharp. So I'm just not sure I want to rely on him. Soriano, not really. I mean, he's actually been impressive, but I don't really like to pick on Cleveland with pitching. So if he ends up in a pool, it's kind of like the last man in because I need to add another option. But I'm actually thinking about using Miles Mikolas. Coming off of a solid start, he's not exciting at all. We'll be honest, but the Cubs' offense has struggled. I happened to look at their just recent offensive production last night just to get an idea, and they've been struggling so much that I think Mikolas could be a viable option as a last man in. I don't feel great about it. I would guess that I would never go more than 10 to 15%, but I think he is an option. So there we have it. There's the first look at pitching for today. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us and get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I'll put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's R-A-Z, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.